The countdown is on to the European Football Championships. Germany face Scotland in the opening match in Munich this Friday. The German national team put in some last-minute training at their base in Bavaria. They go into the tournament showing improvement after an indifferent 2023. Since the turn of the year, Germany have been unbeaten in 4 matches. Hosting the tournament is a massive security challenge with threats ranging from hooligan violence to terrorism.
Kickoff for the Euros is just hours away. The action here has been in full swing for months. It's the security nerve center for the tournament, staffed by police officers from all 24 participating countries. Host Germany has tried to balance informing the public of potential threats without spoiling the excitement.
The security situation is tense. This applies to cybersecurity as well as Islamist terrorism in other areas. However, I can also say that there are currently no concrete indications of a threat in connection with the Euros.
But many Germans are still concerned. A recent survey indicates almost half the population fear a possible attack during the Euros. Security experts say the greatest potential threat is currently posed by the Islamic State offshoot ISKP. The terror group is putting out propaganda like this one, calling for attacks on German football stadiums. Felix Neumann from the Konrad Adenauer Foundation specializes in counter-terrorism measures. He says radicalized individuals may be the hardest threat to deter.
They can easily buy a light weapon, for example a knife, but also a gun, and with that they can execute such an attack. And it's very hard for security authorities to prevent that, but also to monitor it.
Other dangers, such as those posed by hooligans or cyber attacks, are also part of security precautions. Host stadiums have multiple layers of security and are considered to be safe places. But fan zones, temporary sites for up to 12 million people, are likelier targets. 22,000 police officers, undercover agents, drones and road blockades are part of security plans. And for months, all German borders have been subject to increased controls to identify and stop potential bad actors.
100% security is never possible, but I think that politicians as well as security authorities can work pretty much really good together, as we've seen for the last couple of weeks and months.
But now it will be put to the test, as fans and players gather, hoping for a safe and fun summer of football for all.
I'm joined now from Vienna by Hans-Jakob Schindler, Senior Director at the Counter-Terrorism Project. How high do you rank the risk of an attack during the Euros?
Well, I mean, it depends on what attack we are really talking about. If you're talking about a complex attack, as we've seen in Moscow a few months ago, that risk is exceedingly small. The International Security Cooperation, which started years before the European Championship even started, is really good at picking up these kind of complex attacks. If you're talking about low-level violence, a lone actor attack, that is, of course, much harder to detect. But here, too, the international cooperation will be very, very helpful. And we've seen the last couple of weeks a wide range of arrests in Germany, meaning the German security forces have picked up much earlier than they usually do on these threats, which means on the one hand, of course, terrorist groups are more active, but on the other hand, the security forces are more efficient as well.
And how seriously do you take the threats from ISKP that are circulating on social media?
Well, I mean, your documentary showed the page, right? So terrorist groups do not advertise complex attack scenarios in advance. What this page is supposed to do is to instill their sympathizers, their supporters in Europe, in Germany, with a sense of mission to do something, anything during the Euros. It really is an attempt by the Islamic State, Khorasan province, to get back on the news because they've been pushed out of the news during the situation in the Middle East, where for months, very justifiably, we're talking about Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis. This is not good for global terrorist networks. They need to show that they're still relevant. Moscow was such an attempt, but it only got them back in the news for a couple of days. The Euro is, of course, another opportunity for them to do something.
So how prepared would you say Germany's security services are?
Well, I mean, you can never be prepared too much, but I would say to the appropriate extent that it's possible. It is, after all, a transnational tournament. So you do not want to turn Germany and the games and the fan miles into absolute military-style security zones. But there are metal detectors, there are entry and exit controls at the fan miles. There is a solution to the drone problem, i.e. securing the skies over the stadia and the fan miles. I would say as good as it can be, but 2024 is not 2006. So some aspects of this tournament are going to be very different. Fan miles in 2006 were openly accessible. They are no longer openly accessible. You will have to go through a security control for your own and everyone else's safety.
So is the threat bigger now than in previous years?
It is far more complex. I mean, first of all, after October 7th, we've been in a different security environment. Hamas, Hezbollah, their sympathizers, the extreme left in Germany really have taken this on and continuously trying to do at least some violence-oriented events, if not, as we've seen at the end of December, outright terrorist attacks. In comes, of course, the ISIL threat. We have a continuing Al-Qaeda threat. We have a very active right-wing extremist scene. All of these extremist and terrorist phenomena, of course, trying to take advantage of this massive amount of platform that a European football championship affords them. But I said, converse to this or adverse to this are the efforts of the security forces in Germany, with the help of all the security forces of all the participating nations. So being alert, being aware of one's surroundings is advisable in any large-scale events, as it is in the European Football Championship in Germany. And the American dictum, if you see something, say something, is true here as well. There will be a policeman or a security guard anywhere really close to any one of the participants. If there's anything weird going on, just report. Don't be a hero. These guys are trained to handle this situation. But please report.
Hans-Jakob Schittler, thank you very much for your assessment and advice.
Thank you.